Good evening, and welcome to the McMaster Alumni Association's virtual awards celebration. Obviously, we would have preferred to gather in person for this event, but our online connection does give us the opportunity to link an international cohort of MAC alumni, award winners, and friends that span several different time zones. Thank you so much for joining us wherever and whenever you are. My name is Troy Hill. I am a member of the McMaster class of 2007, and I'm also the president of the McMaster Alumni Association. Thank you for being part of our 2022 awards program. Sego, sewa guego. Troy Hill ni yung yats. Nida wakana oswego. Before I start any event in my traditional Mohawk language, we always start with a hona gawidekwa. These are the words that come before all else, where we recognize the land where we are, we recognize the beings that surround us, and we recognize the night that gives us the new day. And so I will begin with the Honda Gawidakwa. Dai tino wadado ne angwe soha, e tono yoduhunge ne ngwat nigora. Dai tino wadado ne yitini stoha jo honjare, e tono yoduhunge ne ngwat nigora. Dai tino wadado ne yuntunduni, e tono yoduhunge ne ngwat nigora. Dai tino wadado ne wahyan yunta, e tono yoduhunge ne ngwat nigora. Dai tino wadado ne gaharunyo, e tono yoduhunge ne ngwat nigora. Dai tino wadado ne gundirio, e tono yoduhunge ne ngwat nigora. Dai tino wadado ne ka ne garunyo, e tono yoduhunge ne ngwat nigora. Dai tino wadado ne johekwa, e tono yoduhunge ne ngwat nigora. Dai tino wadado ne jo wadawarie, e tono yoduhunge ne ngwat nigora. Datside wadanu wadado ne anchikeni karakwa, e tono yoduhunge ne ngwat nigora. Dai tino wadado ne asantaneka karakwa, e tono yoduhunge ne ngwat nigora. Dai tino wadado ne yotsi stokwarunyo, e tono yoduhunge ne ngwat nigora. Datside wadanu wadado ne scanadario, e tono yoduhunge ne ngwat nigora. Dai tino wadado ne jonkiadado, e tono yoduhunge ne ngwat nigora. Datside wadanu wadado ne sangwayat dizon, e tono yoduhunge ne ngwat nigora. Nyawa sangwayat dizon, nyawa goa. Tonight, we honor 19 members of the MAC family for their achievements and contributions at McMaster and beyond. We will meet alumni whose time on campus began in the 1950s, all the way up to the current students who have yet to graduate. We will get to know the winners of the 2022 Albert Lager Prize for Student Initiative, the Arch Award for recent graduates, and the Community Impact Award, as well as the newest inductees to the McMaster Alumni Gallery. As we progress through the program, please keep in mind that this event is not the only opportunity you have to learn about these amazing MAC alumni and students. Our honorees, both present and past, are profiled online at alumni.mcmaster.ca, and many, more than 250 in fact, have contributed in-depth interviews that are featured with their profiles online as well. I encourage you to explore these profiles and conversations at your convenience so you can learn more about our university and its people while also drawing inspiration from the impact and accomplishments of the hundreds of MAC alumni, students, and friends. You will not be disappointed. Finally, before we begin our presentations, I want to thank two key contributors to our annual awards program. First, the alumni volunteers who conceived of and drive the McMaster Alumni Association's awards, do terrific work and have had a huge impact on the MAC family for 4 decades now. Our second acknowledgement is for our long-standing partner and sponsor of this annual event, TD Insurance Melosh Monarchs. We appreciate their support as well as the service they provide thousands of MAC alumni clients. Now it's time to present some awards. We begin with the Albert Lager Prize for Student Initiative. Albert Lager was a 3-time McMaster graduate who actually completed all of his degrees after he retired from his working life. He became a dedicated Alumni Association volunteer who in his will created a foundation that supports the Albert Lager Prize for Student Initiative. Let's meet this year's winners.
When you have people to support you, you'll just flourish in whatever you try and pursue. And that's what makes McMaster so special. Just the support and the guidance, the mentorship, and just everyone wants to see you succeed and grow and improve one another. And I think that's what makes it truly special.
First year at McMaster about a year and a half after immigrating to Canada. So really my journey was filled with lots of learning experience professionally as a scientist and also personally and socially as a new Canadian. Specifically, I'm very grateful for the connections that I made. And I've had the privilege of working with amazing scientists and meeting a lot of people who have been part of my journey so far. Also, McMaster provided me with great extracurricular opportunities from music to book clubs, research teams that all really helped me grow professionally and more importantly, personally.
The best lesson I learned at McMaster was during my first year psychology class. It was during a tutorial, and I'm not entirely sure if it was directly related to course material, but it was rather something that my TA said, which has stuck with me since then. She said, "Self-doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will." And as a nervous first-year student learning to transition and adjust to university, this lesson was very meaningful, and it really encouraged me to step out of my comfort zone, take risks, and go for any opportunity that I desire. 3 years later, and these words in this lesson continues to inspire me every day.
Learning how to solve solutions, like the design thinking process, and how it's not really about like just the end goal, but like the progress and the journey that you took to get there, and just really learning to like define the problem and then to find the need, and then to just like keep on having different iterations of it, to keep testing it, because there's not always just one solution, and there's like not always going to be the solution is done, because you always have different things that you can still continue to do.
The experiences and education have been invaluable to me in that there's always a community to be found if you look hard enough, and there'll always be people that will be kind and caring and want to see you succeed if you're willing to, I guess, give your best in that regard.
Angel Kai serves as the co-president of Collegiate DECA Canada, the largest undergraduate conference in the country, after also volunteering in various capacities with DECA organizations both nationally and at McMaster. She is also co-chair of the McMaster Engineering Competition and was vice president of finance with the iBiomed Society. She has also been a mentor with iBioBuds. A co-president of McMaster Youth for Asia and a mentor with Overcome the Gap, Angel has also assumed a number of creatively focused volunteer roles. She was the design executive for the Delta Hacks Hackathon, director of design and creative content for Synapse McMaster, and a member of the graphics subcommittee for the Muse. She has been vice president of marketing for both Mac Ethnics and ESCO, Engineering Student Society's Council of Ontario annual general meeting, as well as promotions coordinator for SURGE, stimulating undergraduate research and growth through community engagement. Andrea Jacob has influenced her communities on campus and off since arriving at McMaster. Building on one of her experiences in high school, she co-founded and serves as co-president of Girl Up McMaster, an organization working to build gender equality by educating and empowering youth in both the McMaster and Hamilton communities. Andrea has also served as a board member of the larger Girl Up Canada organization since 2018. Andrea has been a stylist for the Health Science Charity Fashion Show, a Welcome Week presentation for the Faculty of Health Sciences, an executive member of the Indigenous Health Movement Team, and the Director of Creativity and Engagement for the Serenity Project, an organization that supports at-risk women through programming related to mental health and suicide. Andrea has also been active in the university research community by serving as a volunteer research assistant with the McMaster Children's Hospital Celiac Connect Clinic Registry. Kian Yosefi Kosha is the creator and host of the CFMU radio show SciSection that explores the impact of science on our day-to-day lives and offers features including The Scientist of the Week, an emphasis on mental health and science, and pandemic-focused series on conversations with university presidents across Canada. Keon has served as the co-president of the McMaster Synthetic Biology Research Team and McMaster Sick Kids. He co-founded and served as vice president of Vision Beyond Barriers McMaster, a club dedicated to eye health. He is also a mentor with the McMaster Science Society and the fourth-year student representative at the McMaster Neuroscience Society. He was the outreach coordinator with Art of Living McMaster and was in the backstage crew at the McMaster Science Musical. In 2020, Keon was the chair of the nationwide Canadian undergraduate research competition. He was also a volunteer research assistant with a project in the Division of Pediatric Neurology. Maheen Raja has aligned a number of her extracurricular and volunteer activities with her aspiration to pursue a career in medicine. She is the vice president of outreach with McMaster Friends of MSF, Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders, and clinical director for McMaster Medicine and You. She is also a member of the promotions executive for the McMaster Dermatology Society. As a Welcome Week representative with the McMaster Science Society, Maheen helped orient new students to the Faculty of Science, and has also been active with the McMaster Pakistani Students Association, where she has served as vice president of events. Maheen also has a strong track record as a fundraiser, having been part of the McMaster Cancer Society fundraising committee, and taken on the role of Vice President Fundraising for the McMaster chapter of Operation Smile, the organization that helps children worldwide receive procedures for cleft lips and palates. A contributor to the Community Volunteer Circle's Letters to Seniors program, Nicholas Sokolachuk has dedicated a significant portion of his volunteer time to his personal and academic interest in music. He served as a volunteer with the Digital Music Lab and was also the Community Outreach Coordinator for the McMaster Music Society. Additionally, Nicholas has built an extracurricular legacy around creative writing. He reanimated the Poetry and Creative Writing Society at McMaster, recruiting the new executive team, achieving club ratification, and then serving as the organization's president. He also founded and serves as the director of One Pen, a creative writing competition and network that links student writing groups at several Canadian universities. Nicholas has also served as a guest judge for the Hamilton Public Library Power of the Pen Young Writers Competition.
We've come so far since creating the club in first year. That was like right when the pandemic started, and we were all at home, and we started this core routine diaries. We reached out to a bunch of different Mac students in different faculties in different years and just created this little core routine diaries project just to like bring some light and hope and positivity. And we've come so far and have impacted so many people. So just receiving this award is really special because it shows how far we've come and my incredible team and club. And I just really attribute this award to them.
This recognition really makes me more motivated to give back to my community, and also I hope it can show people who are like me, immigrants to Canada, that we have the power to contribute to our new home. Although it is very challenging to struggle with being away from family, feeling homesick, language barriers, and things like that, it definitely is possible. And also I hope it can show people in position of leadership that it is okay to take chances on people who don't have experiences but have passion and potential.
There's a lot of like opportunities, like extracurricular wise, like within the classroom, different projects, different like even assignments, tests. There's just a lot of things that you can do. And then even though at the end it may not come out the perfect, at least you've tried and at least you've gained that experience from it.
Anyone who truly wants to be the change they see in the world, what they do for others, will not go unnoticed. Those with the courage and bravery to be an active member of their community will foster themselves that willingness to engage with their community. There's actually a quote I really like that I think, I want to say it loosely connects here. I guess it's like more of like another lesson by Rilke. Probably one of his more like famous quotes. Perhaps all the dragons in our lives are princesses who are only waiting to see us act just once with beauty and courage. Perhaps everything that frightens us is, in its deepest essence, something helpless that wants our love.
It generally motivates me, encourages, and pushes me to continue to make meaningful contributions and just impacts my community as much as I possibly can. I believe that each and every one of us has the potential to make change, no matter how big or small.
Congratulations to our Lager Prize recipients. We can all look forward to watching their progress and following their careers as young Mac alumni. That brings us to the next group of honorees, the winners of the Arch Award. The Alumni Association created this award 20 years ago to recognize the work and impact of more recent graduates and to shine a spotlight on some tremendous young people. This year, we have 4 Arch Award winners.
The most important lesson I learned outside of the classroom was just stamina. Like I think, those long SRA meetings or working on the MSU, you kind of don't have a chance to stop and give up. And so stamina and a little bit of resilience, right? And all of a sudden you're so passionate about something and you want this vote to go through, or you want something to change with the way the library's working, or something to do with the way a professor is being hired, or etc. And you kind of just have that resilience and you keep on going. And that passion, I think I've taken to my career and post McMaster life, which is you just got to stay focused on what you want to accomplish.
I would say probably the best lesson I learned at Mac is the importance of community and having a good community around you. We don't ever walk through life alone, and although it can feel like that sometimes, especially when there's a lot of stress and a lot of worry, change, having a community around you, whether it's within your residence, within your neighborhood, within your city, or within your university institution, your work, wherever it is, building that community and investing into it is so important. And I think everything that you invest into your community, you take right back from it, and can be really life-changing, especially when things are getting challenging, and also when things are really, really great, to be able to celebrate with those around you.
There were a lot of lessons learned throughout my 6 years at McMaster, both inside and outside of the classroom. But I do think one of the larger lessons that I learned was about who I am as an individual and the importance of cultivating your own self-awareness and associated self-advocacy. University, whether you are an undergraduate or a graduate student, is a very unique opportunity to really discover your fundamental self as it pertains to what your interests are, what your passions are, and how you can go about pursuing them.
Oh my God, my favorite McMaster memories, please, was when there was that really big puddle in front of JHE, and then those guys put out a canoe. Oh my God, the best. So funny. Oh my God, it's just hilarious in its existence. And then the civil engineers, for their prank that year, made a really big bridge that went along. Oh my God, I just love these little things. Humor is so universal, and they combined humor with a practical solution, which is what engineers do. You know what I'm saying?
After earning her Bachelor of Health Sciences degree from McMaster in 2017, Julia Haynes studied medicine at the University of Ottawa and is now in the Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation Residency Program at the University of British Columbia. She is a founding member of the Canadian Association of Physicians with Disabilities Training Group, which advocates for medical trainees and physicians with disabilities. She advocated for and created an accessibility policy for her medical school Escalapian Society, which is now being utilized at medical schools across the country. Her research related to issues such as stereotypes of cerebral palsy, community activities among young people with physical disabilities, and the pandemic's impact on youth with physical disabilities has appeared in journals including Child, Care, Health and Development, and Developmental Medicine and Child Neurology. Julia is also a decorated athlete who earned gold medals for seated shot put and discus at the 2017 Canada Games, setting Canadian records in the process. She won 3 silver medals at the Cerebral Palsy International Sports and Recreation Association World Games in shot put, discus, and javelin. She also won gold medals at the 2017 and 2019 Canadian National Athletics Championships. Julia has been involved as a leader, coach, and organizer for a variety of sledge hockey teams and organizations. With a bachelor's degree in electrical and biomedical engineering from McMaster and a Master of Health Science degree in biomedical engineering from the University of Toronto, Salma Hindi is likely one of the world's best educated professional comedians. Her rise in stand-up comedy began during her time as a graduate student and is only gaining momentum with appearances as an opening act for stars including Maz Jobrani, Ken Jeong, Beth Stelling, James Adomian, and Chelsea Handler. Salma, who gave a TEDx talk about her emotional journey in comedy titled Why People Pleasing is Hurting You, has performed at comedy festivals and showcases including the Just for Laughs New Faces Festival, the Women in Comedy Festival in Boston, the Arab American New York Comedy Festival, and more. She earned second place in the Toronto Comedy Brawl and has been featured on television shows including CBC's Laugh Out Loud and Comedy Night with Rick Mercer, as well as CTV's Stand Up with John Doerr and Roast Battle Canada. Salma's debut comedy album, Born on 9/11, has recently received rave reviews on Hype Magazine, The Star, Comedy Cake, Patron and Pearl, and The Manitoban. Salma has her own episode on True Dating Stories, where she chronicles going on a blind date chaperoned by her Imam father. In addition to her booming stand-up career, Salma is an emerging screenwriter and actress. She currently works in a writer's room for an Amazon original animated comedy series created by Rami Youssef, as well as a half-hour dark comedy series in development with CBC. In addition to the above, Salma has her own half-hour comedy series in development with Crave, Bell Media. Arthi Sharma, who graduated from McMaster in 2007, is the co-founder of Glee, a skincare company that develops its products based on South Asian traditions. She began her career as National Director of the Canadian Alliance of Student Associations before joining Jet Cooper Limited, a user experience and design agency. From there, she became one of Shopify's earliest hires. Most recently, she was Director of Product Marketing at Shopify, with responsibility for global market strategy and campaigns. Earlier in her Shopify career, she led offline, experiential, and community marketing while also inaugurating the annual Shopify Unite conference. A founding partner of Backbone Angels, an investor collective led by women executives from Shopify, Arthi has supported more than 50 companies, with 2/3 of that number under the leadership of founders from underrepresented communities. Her interest in supporting Canadian women and Black, Indigenous, and people of color founders includes serving not just as an angel investor, but as an advisor on key business issues as well. Her investments have helped drive the success of companies, including the online legal service Willful, the fashion brand Cotton, 3 Ships Beauty Products, and SheerTech's Hosiery. Arthi was named Canada's 2021 Angel of the Year by the National Angel Capital Organization. After graduating from McMaster with a bachelor's degree in 2014 and a master's degree in 2016, both in philosophy, Marla Sharp earned a Master of Public Health degree in Health Policy and Epidemiology at NYU. A clinical epidemiologist with expertise in research design, medical ethics, and population health policy, she has focused her research on consent and competency assessment, end-of-life care policy, and therapeutic enhancement for treatment-resistant conditions. Marla was the research and quality manager for the Department of Surgery at NYU Langone Health, before moving to the Hospital for Special Surgery to become the Assistant Director of Clinical Research in the Department of Anesthesiology, Critical Care, and Pain Management. She was promoted to Director earlier in 2022. Marla was the inaugural vice president of Mission for Mental Health, an organization at NYU dedicated to mental health policy, education, and stigma reduction, and she was also part of the team that developed the Blue Matter Project to connect young adults coping with mental health concerns to yoga studios in Canadian cities by facilitating free access to research-based programs that promote physical and psychological well-being. Marla has been a strategic advisor for the organization since 2017.
But yeah, this award means a lot to me because it definitely makes me feel like this is bigger than myself. What I'm doing, and it really aligns with what's so important to me, which is that when you step more into your authenticity and into the path that you want to do, it just inspires so many people unknowingly without you even knowing, which is not obviously the reason why you're doing it, but it gives me goosebumps to know that that's the case. So,
McMaster has provided me with so many unique opportunities and has really contributed to my success as a young professional. And even the connections and networks that I cultivated, all those years back, I'm still in contact with those people, and we still, touch base and update each other about what's going on in our lives. And my thesis supervisor and I are in, frequent contact. And it's just nice to know that the community of McMaster is kind of always with you. And it's always a support that's available to you.
I really feel honored and so appreciative of it. So much of my work now is, I work as a resident through work, but a lot of my, my time outside of work is spent in disability advocacy and working towards equity for this community. And a lot of that work can be really challenging, and there's lots of roadblocks to it, and there's not a lot of, thanks or appreciation. So sometimes when awards like this come up, it really warms your heart and really helps refresh and refill your cup to continue doing that type of work, because it can be really challenging at times. It also speaks to Mac's emphasis on equity and improving equity to be, to honor someone who does a lot of work in that area.
The thing that really changed my life was getting involved. I got involved in student politics by accident, to be honest. There was a vacant seat on the SRA. I didn't really know what that meant. And then as soon as I got in there, I got really passionate about the things that you could change as a student, or the impact that you could have as someone who wasn't a professor or someone who was getting straight A's. And so that to me kind of showed my value outside of just the academic excellence that you kind of need to have at university. So I think the most important thing is try a lot of different things and figure out what your thing is.
The exciting part of the Arch Award is knowing that these alumni are just getting started. So congratulations to our 4 winners, and I'm sure we're all looking forward to the path ahead for this impressive group of Mac grads. Our next award is especially meaningful to me because I had the honor of being one of the first recipients of the Impact Award just over a decade ago. These awards are focused specifically on Mac grads who are creating significant impact in their communities, whether that's the community here in Hamilton, a Canadian community beyond Hamilton, or an impact internationally. So 3 geographic areas and 3 award winners. Let's meet them now.
My journey with McMaster University spans over almost, I would say, close to 20 years now. So I've been very much connected with McMaster University at various different levels. But I think if I just look at my undergraduate time, I think one of the key things that happened was always trying to look for where do I want to be and where are the role models. So I always within my journey, always try to find role models and try to understand how did they got where they got in their life. And again, there's no secret to success. So again, very early on, I knew that hard work, commitment, having set of values, standing true to all of those things are going to be very, very crucial for me. So I think those are some of the things that I really, really hold it very close to me in my early years of education. And mind you, I was one of the first girls to ever go to a university from my family as well as a girl. So again, I was trying to break certain barriers there. So while I came to McMaster University, I knew I need to continue pushing. So I'm looking for female role models or even male role models too, who become allied to me in my journey. And so again, it was a lot of that. So a lot of networking, I would say, really, really helped me in my early years at McMaster University. And again, always asking questions outside the box. If I don't ask, I'm not going to get answers. So I always ask questions.
I would have to say rewarding. My word would definitely say rewarding. McMaster has had a phenomenal reputation in the industry, and I feel like, completing the graduate program that I did here, it was certainly nothing more rewarding than that. So thank you.
So what I really liked about MAC is the fact that it was problem-based learning, and the fact that half of us did not come from science backgrounds, so you had to be adaptable, and you had to kind of think on your feet and think, well, if I don't know it, I can look it up, I can learn from somebody else. So in my career, I've ended up in very different places all over the world, and I think, yeah, no problem. I've never been here before, but I can figure it out. I can, solve this problem, and I think that adaptability was a really important lesson for McMaster.
Dr. Zobia Jawed earned both her bachelor's degree and her PhD from McMaster, and also engineering MBA degrees from other universities, and is now an assistant professor with the McMaster Faculty of Engineering, as well as a research lead for the faculty's Office of Research and External Relations. An expert in fields including water, wastewater systems, environmental sustainability, and climate change, she was the visionary and research lead for the COVID-19 wastewater testing at McMaster. Most recently, she has been working on transitioning wastewater systems to resource recovery facilities that will add to the economy while reducing or eliminating negative environmental impacts. Before joining McMaster, Zobia established a diverse career that includes project and program management roles with SickKids Hospital, the Ontario Ministry of the Environment, the World Water Operator Training Company, and the Halton region. She has been a faculty member at Mohawk College, was the vice president of RainGrid Inc., and is the founder and CEO of Zenviro Consulting Inc. Zobia is an equity, diversity, and inclusion lead and vice president for the Healthy Youth Network in Hamilton. The only appointed female member of the board of the Pakistani Business Association Hamilton, a director of Conservation Halton, and a member of Metroland's Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Committee. In 2021, Zobia was awarded the Order of Hamilton, and in 2022, the YWCA Women of Distinction Award in Research, Science, Technology, and Trades. Gerald Mack completed his Master's in Communication Management from McMaster in 2017 and has worked in various financial institutions including CIBC, RBC, and Scotiabank with roles in risk, communication, and technology. He is currently a strategy manager for the Ontario Public Service. As a recent recipient of the Ontario Medal for Good Citizenship, Gerald has over 18 years in community service and served on various boards and advisory committees with the City of Toronto, TBSB, Big Brothers and Sisters of Toronto, Ryerson University, University Health Network, and Junior Achievement Ontario. He is a member of the advisory boards to student startups including Box for You, a wellness initiative for secondary students, and Generating Joy, a student-led initiative working with isolated seniors. Gerald has also been a longtime volunteer with Toronto Police Service and serves as the co-chair of the Race-Based Data Collection Strategy Community Advisory Panel in developing an enterprise strategy on racial equity in policing. He also provided much-needed support in mentorship and the development of resources for young adults and betterment of our communities. Gretchen Rohde earned her MD at McMaster and has spent more than 40 years as a physician in underserved communities in Northern Ontario, and working in reproductive, maternal, newborn, and child health as well as HIV/AIDS and tuberculosis in more than 40 countries, from Sudan to Papua New Guinea to Bhutan. Gretchen authored A Doctor's Quest, The Struggle for Mother and Child Health Around the Globe, as well as Deepwater Dream, about northern, rural, and Aboriginal health in Canada. As part of her work with First Nations communities, she joined a Cree community in developing a medical dictionary in their own language. Gretchen has taught at McMaster, the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine, and the Northern Ontario School of Medicine, while also serving as a senior consultant with HERA in Belgium, Euro Health Group in Denmark, Goss Gilroy, AgriTeam, and Orville Adams and Associates. As a practicing family physician in 4 different communities in Northern Ontario, including Latchford, Ontario for the last decade, Gretchen was the founding physician of the Women's Wellness Clinic at Temiskaming Hospital, the founding clinic physician of the Adolescent FP-STD Clinic of the Temiskaming Health Unit, and the clinic physician at the Centre de Santé Communautaire in New Liskeard.
I always tell this to everyone that, anytime you have the opportunity to give back, whether that is financially, whether that is time, you should always pay it forward. And I think that's what I would probably want to be remembered for, is being able to serve the community in the best the ability that I could, because I used to have this quote on my email that used to say, community service is the rent that we pay for living. And anywhere that you go in any community, there's always so many people in need for help, whether that is help in education, whether that's help in, physical help, whether, seniors, loneliness, what have you. That is where I always encourage people to do wherever they can. And I think I probably be remembered for more along the lines of just paying it forward back to the community. So
it's an honor, and it's an honor coming from MAC, because MAC really helped me in my international career. There I was as a medical student. They helped me with my work up north. They helped me work with Indigenous peoples. They introduced me to all sort of the big players. People like Vic Neufeld and Peter Tugwell, led me on the way to get into global health. Vic Neufeld arranged for me to go to Cameroon somehow, and somebody else paid for it. I don't know how. And I've been still in touch with these guys many years later. And so I think, it's a place that grows with you. And the fact that that's where I learned how to go to these different countries. I remember being in Uganda and walking along the street and seeing this guy come toward me, and it was Vic Neufeld. And I sort of thought, oh my goodness, like, what are you doing here? So, we've walked the walk together. And I think that really, and there was no medical school that did that sort of thing back in the day, that let you do things like go and do an elective in midwifery in Scotland. So that you could have all kinds of experience delivering babies. I mean, that was a great thing to be able to do as a medical student. So it was so creative. It allowed people to shape their own destiny within the school, follow their own interest within the school. It was so creative that way. And then I'm now so excited that I get to teach at NOSM and try to remember what were the good things about MAC, and then make sure that my students get the same good things.
I was finishing my first year almost and getting into my second year. That's when I got married. So I think starting a family was my second biggest memory, becoming a mom. I think those are life-changing events, but somehow it was all tied to McMaster University, because I still remember commuting all the way from Toronto to McMaster during that time. And I was just like, how am I going to pull this off? But I think those memories, what made me strong, actually, those moments made me really, really strong. And I think when people say, well, you're a strong woman, I think nobody becomes a strong woman overnight. I think it's a series of challenges and the storms we have gone through in our own lives, where we decided not to ever give up. And I think those were the days where I remember my dad I was the first girl. Well, we were a family of 5 girls, but my dad decided to send us away to boarding school in Canada, and education was something he really wanted his girls to get. But again, regardless, I had to really keep close to my own cultural values that I brought from my back home, and I think that was important too. And in our culture, girls do get married early too, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna respect that cultural traditions, but I just didn't know I'm going to fulfill both of those things. My parents' wishes that I'm going to be breaking the barriers for education, being a successful woman, being a awesome wife, a great student, and hardworking professional. I think a lot of those balancing, I think those were hard, but I think McMaster University taught me that I need to learn all of those things. world is a roller coaster, life is a roller coaster, but I think the support system, I would say, it's some of the friends that I made.
Congratulations to our Impact Award winners. After seeing your biographies, it's honestly an honor just to be in the same list as the three of you. Our final award is the cornerstone of our Alumni Awards program. And it's a cornerstone celebrating a special anniversary this year. The first McMaster Alumni Gallery induction took place 40 years ago in 1982. Once we officially induct this year's 7 new gallery members, that will bring the total to 451 MAC alumni who have been named to the gallery. By design, our selection criteria for the gallery inductions are broad. Members include the most famous names on our alumni roster, along with lesser known but wonderfully inspirational, accomplished, and interesting grads as well. Let's celebrate 40 years of the Alumni Gallery with our 2022 induction class.
I would say the best lesson that I have from my journey at McMaster is actually that of resilience. I started in the Bachelor of Science program. Like many children of South Asian parents, my parents had this dream that I would be a doctor. And I think I always knew that that probably wasn't the journey. But McMaster and my experience there helped me navigate and helped me realize where it is that I was meant to be and what journey it was I was meant to take.
One of the big lessons that I think has served me in my career is I often say things like, it's not innovation for innovation's sake, it's innovation with purpose. And if you can understand the purpose and connect it to what you're actually trying to achieve for others in their lives, then that innovation, the technology that you bring can actually have a greater impact on the world.
In arts and science, there was an emphasis on critical thinking skills, and well, that benefits us all in every area of life. There was also, what I was introduced to was the idea of think globally, act locally.
Everything, but let me try to use single descriptors of the emotions I feel every day. Gratitude, appreciation, respect, admiration, and finally, the lasting knowledge that despite having very little to work with, my alma mater made me a better person and a productive alumnus. And when I add to that the love, friendship, and inspiration all these years of my beautiful wife Olivia and daughter Christiane, I know I'm one very lucky grad.
So whether it was a lab experiment in chemistry or a project during my MBA, or the countless lectures, I always found there was a strong theme of working together, of collaborating. My professors really encouraged us to think and encouraged us to participate, and they encouraged embracing different viewpoints.
Truth of art is revelation of the heart of the artist. So that's what Mac taught me.
What was really important learning a skill was working as a team and with others, because no one person has all the answers, even though you may think you have them. And it's very, very valuable to get other people's input and to be able to exchange ideas, criticisms, thoughts, etc. So that was a very valuable experience because we were all had different things to contribute from our backgrounds.
After completing her arts and science degree at McMaster, Farzana Doctor earned a master's degree in social work at Carleton University before beginning her career working with homeless youth and addiction programs in Toronto. A registered social worker, Farzana has a private psychotherapy practice, has coordinated a reading series in Toronto's Brockton Village neighborhood, and co-produced Rewriting the Script, a love letter to our families, a documentary about the family relationships of LGBT people in Toronto's South Asian communities. She volunteers with We Speak Out, a group working to ban female genital cutting in her Dawoodi Bohra community, and also writes Dear Masi, a sex and relationships column for FGMC survivors. Farzana's first novel, Stealing Nazreen, was published in 2007. Her second novel, 6 Meters of Pavement, received a Lambda Literary Award and was shortlisted for the Toronto Book Award. In 2017, the same novel received the One Book, One Brampton Award. She won the Dane Ogilvie Grant from the Writers' Trust of Canada for an emerging lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender writer in 2011. All Inclusive, Farzana's third novel, was a Kobo and National Post Best Book of the Year. Her fourth novel, Seven, was shortlisted for the Trillium and Evergreen Awards. Named one of 100 writers in Canada you need to know by CBC Books, Farzana published a poetry collection called You Still Look the Same earlier this year. A two-time McMaster graduate from the Faculty of Science and the DeGroote School of Business, Ken Lancaster is a financial planner with RBC Dominion Securities, delivering comprehensive integrated wealth management and financial solutions. Previously, Ken was a tax partner with Grant Thornton, where he held a number of leadership roles. In 2021, Ken became a Fellow of the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario, an honor that reflects his years as a tax accountant, where he specialized in tax and succession planning for business owners. For over 30 years, Ken has built a remarkable legacy as a Hamilton-based volunteer. He has contributed his accounting and business expertise to organizations including the Canadian Tax Foundation, the Hamilton Chamber of Commerce, and the Estate Planners Council of Hamilton, while also giving back to the local golf community as a board member of the Hamilton Golf and Country Club Foundation, as chair of the Hamilton Halton Junior Golf Tour, and as a volunteer with Golf Ontario. Ken is currently treasurer for Habitat for Humanity Hamilton and was a long-serving board member for the Catholic Children's Aid Society of Hamilton, where he was chair of the board. Ken's induction is a milestone for the Alumni Gallery, as he joins Bobby Lancaster, classes of 73, 78, and 80, and Ron Lancaster, class of 75, in becoming just the second set of 3 siblings to become gallery members. After completing his bachelor's degree in art and art history at McMaster, Roy Lewis earned a Master of Fine Arts degree in acting from York University before beginning a diverse career in the arts. He has been a longtime member of the Stratford Festival Acting Company, where he has been a Stratford Festival Award recipient. Roy has played iconic roles including Claudius in Hamlet, the stage manager in Our Town, and Prospero in The Tempest, while also directing 10 plays professionally. Beyond Stratford, Roy's stage credits include being part of the touring company that performed The Last Confession in Canada, the United States, and Australia. He has more than 36 screen credits, including appearances in the Chris Farley film Tommy Boy, and iconic Canadian television shows, including Murdoch Mysteries, Slings and Arrows, and Degrassi: The Next Generation. Roy has taught acting and Elizabethan texts at universities including York and Concordia, and is a founding member of Shakespeare in the Rough and the Obsidian Theatre, a leading independent theatre company that champions culturally diverse voices and artists of color while working with many of Canada's most prominent theatre organizations, including Mervish Productions, the Shaw Festival, and the Canadian Stage Company. Roy is the author of the prose and poetry book, With You, The Moments of My Life Are Fading, which he adapted into a live performance called Moments With You. Lisa Matam graduated from McMaster with 2 degrees before developing her career as an entrepreneur. Named by Profit Magazine as one of the top 10 emerging women entrepreneurs in Canada in 2009, and recognized by the Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce as Female Entrepreneur of the Year in 2011. She built the foundation of her success on the Matam Group, an international consulting firm working to equip organizations, including Fortune 500 companies, with the tools to advance diversity in the workplace. Lisa co-authored the report, Mum's the Word, How Organizations Can Change the Impact of Motherhood on Career Success, and contributed to the book 5 Good Ideas, Practical Strategies for Nonprofit Success, published by Coach House Books. Lisa also created Sahajin, an evidence-based natural skincare line. In 2015, Lisa launched Sahajin, a clinically proven skincare line based on the ancient Indian science of Ayurveda. Since its launch, the collection has been featured in Vogue Paris, Chatelaine, and Forbes. Lisa was the only Canadian to be selected as a fellow for Sephora's inaugural Beauty Accelerator in 2016. In 2021, the Atelier named her Entrepreneur of the Year, and BMO awarded a grant to Sahajin that recognized Lisa's leadership in the beauty and sustainability category. In 2022, Lisa and her team launched Accelerate Her, an early-stage accelerator for female-founded businesses in Canada. A former instructor with the Schulich Executive Education Center, Lisa has been a board member with the Rouge Valley Health System and a young leader with the BMW Foundation. Ali Oradi is a McMaster Engineering alumnus who joins his parents and sister as Mac grads. As the CEO and founder of the innovative in-home smart gym company Tonal, Ali turned his personal fitness and weight loss experience into a company that has established relationships with entrepreneurial athletes, including Serena Williams, LeBron James, and Steph Curry, while also seeing its sales octuple during the first year of the pandemic. A 20-year Silicon Valley veteran, engineer, and serial entrepreneur who earned his master's degree at Stanford University, Ali started his career at Hewlett-Packard's Computer Systems Laboratory as a hardware engineer designing supercomputers. He then moved into technical leadership roles at a series of startup companies, including Kaelia Inc., a server design company later acquired by Sun Microsystems. Ali also founded Panalogic, where he served as the company's chief technology officer. A skilled inventor, he helped develop innovations including a remote graphics rendering across network method for displaying 3D information, the Thin Network Protocol, the Universal Serial Bus Assistance Engine, and Video Driver over a Network. Ali is a charter member of C100, a by-invitation group of Canadian technology leaders, and he has shared his entrepreneurial experiences with McMaster alumni and students at a number of events, including an innovation panel for Toronto area alumni, a networking evening for Bay Area McMaster alumni at the Tonal facility, and the Big Ideas competition for McMaster graduates. After graduating from McMaster, Bruce Stock joined the Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry and became the first PPCLI officer to be a vice-regal aide-de-camp, serving from 1964 to 1966 with Governor-General Georges and Pauline Vanier. On February 15, 1965, Bruce was on Parliament Hill for the inauguration of the new Canadian flag. At the conclusion of his service, he wrote Sleeping at Rideau Hall, Memoirs of an Aide-de-camp, and then, in 2014, a second memoir with a title drawing inspiration from his initials. He called it Pure BS. Bruce moved into corporate communications and media relations, notably serving as a speechwriter for Murray Koffler, the founder of Shoppers Drug Mart. 2 decades after leaving military service, Bruce was asked to re-enlist as a public affairs officer with the Canadian Peacekeepers during the Bosnian War. Back in Canada, while working as a media relations officer for Emergency Measures Ontario, Bruce played a key media relations role in the Provincial Operations Centre during the ice storm of 1998. He subsequently received the provincial government's Amethyst Award in recognition of his contributions as a public servant. In 2010, he was inducted into the College of Fellows of the Canadian Public Relations Society, and in 2014, received a special edition regimental commendation from the Princess Patricias in tribute to his work with the regiment's centennial celebrations. Bruce's most recent novels are Promise Kept and Switch Pitcher. He and his classmates are looking forward to their 65th reunion in 2025. From 2010 to 2020, McMaster MD alumnus James Tomarkin was Commissioner of Health for Suffolk County, New York, where he was responsible for 1.6 million residents and 9 divisions, ranging from environmental protection to emergency medical services. Under his leadership, His teams were recognized for their exceptional work by organizations including the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. In March 2020, he returned to his former department as Director of Public Health to support Suffolk County during the COVID-19 pandemic. From 2007 to 2010, James was a Senior Fellow for International Healthcare Management, as well as Hospital and Outpatient Administrator for the William J. Clinton Foundation Yale University Partnership, working to rebuild the healthcare system in Liberia. Previously, he had been Medical Director at MetLife Insurance, Director of the Head Injury Program for the Workplace Safety and Insurance Board, and Vice President and Medical Director of Cigna Healthcare of Ohio, among other medical posts in Pennsylvania and Ontario. James has been a member of boards and advisory boards with organizations including the Barbara H. Hagen School of Nursing and the Hofstra University Master of Public Health Program, and was elected to the Delta Omega Public Health Honorary Society. He is an assistant professor at New York State University at Stony Brook after a previous academic appointment with the University of Toronto. He also established the Pearl and Barnett Tomarkin Excellence Fund at McMaster.
As we welcome and congratulate the newest members of the Alumni Gallery, we've also reached the end of this evening's presentation. I hope you've enjoyed learning about some of the impressive and impactful things McMaster students and alumni are doing at McMaster and in our local, national, and global communities. Congratulations once again to all 19 of this evening's honorees. You are doing terrific things and serving as tremendous role models for Mac students and alumni everywhere. You are making everyone at the university and in the McMaster Alumni Association proud. And to all of the Mac grads, students, faculty, staff, family, friends who have tuned into our 2022 Virtual Alumni Awards show, I thank you for your being part of this important McMaster tradition. This brings us to the end of our presentation. If we were all together here at Mac, this is a moment when I would invite you to stick around, engage in some lively conversation, and enjoy some refreshments. Instead, I hope you have a celebratory drink at hand and that you will join me virtually in raising a glass to our 2022 honorees. Thank you and Nyawagowa. As I begun this celebration with the Ahonda Gawidekwa in Ganyage Hage, my language, I will end with the closing, the Gahonda Gawidekwa with the closing. Taitino Warado ne Angwe Soha, Etono Yuduhunge ne Ngwani Goda. Taitino Warado ne Yitini Stohacho Wanjade, Etono Yuduhunge ne Ngwani Goda. Taitino Warado ne Yuntunduni, Etono Yuduhunge ne Ngwani Goda. Taitino Warado ne Washanyunta, Etono Yuduhunge ne Ngwani Goda. Taitino Warado ne Gaharunya, Etono Yuduhunge ne Ngwani Goda. Taitino Warado ne Gondirio, Etono Yuduhunge ne Ngwani Goda. Taitino Warado ne Ga ne Gurunyo, Etono Yuduhunge ne Ngwani Goda. Taitino Warado ne Johekwa, Etono Yuduhunge ne Ngwani Goda. Taitino Warado ne Jo Weda Worie, Etono Yuduhunge ne Ngwani Goda. Tatside wat nu Warado ne Anjigene Garakwa, Etono Yuduhunge ne Ngwani Goda. Taitino Warado ne Asamtaneka Garakwa, Etono Yuduhunge ne Ngwani Goda. Taitino Warado ne Yotsisto Querinyo, Etono Yuduhunge ne Ngwani Goda. Tatside wat nu Warado ne Scanadadio, Etono Yuduhunge ne Ngwani Goda. Taitino Warado ne Junkyada, Etono Yuduhunge ne Ngwani Goda. Tatside wat nu Warado ne Sangwai Diza, Etono Yuduhunge ne Ngwani Goda. Nyawa Sangwai Diza, Nyawa Goa. Ona.